तदया पात्रं गुणान्वितः कौशिको अनन्तरङ्गार्यः चिरं विजयतां भुवि यस्तात्मीयभरं वरप्रदगुरौ वैराग्यभाग्यो ददौ वेदान्तामृतसारवन्तम् अनघात् श्रीनिवासात् गुरोः श्रीशैलान्वयकौस्तुभस्य तनयं श्रेयोनिधे श्रीनिधेः वन्दे साधुकटाक्षकेलिनिलयं श्रीकृष्णसद्देशिकम् श्रीनारायणयोगीन्द्रवरदार्यकृपाश्रयं रङ्गेशपादविनतं श्रीनिवासमुनिं भजे श्रीवासरङ्गपरकालमुनित्रयाप्तलक्ष्मात्मरक्षणयति त्वयुगागमान्तम् आचार्यभक्तिपरिपूतमनर्घशीलं गोपालदेशिकमुनिं गुरुम् आश्रयामः श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्य कवितार्किककेसरी वेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदा हृदि रामानुजदया पात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्म व्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोश्च दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्म व्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोश्च दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये मातापिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामम् श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वय भट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहां भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकालयतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यं गुरुमुखमनदीत्य प्राहवेदानशेषान् नरपति परिक्लृप्तं शुल्कमादातु कामः श्वशुरमरवन्द्यं रङ्गनाथस्य साक्षात् विजयकुलतिलकं तं विष्णुचित्तं नमामि मिन्नार्तडमदिळ் சூழ் வில்லிபுத்தூர் என்றொருகால் சொன்னார் கமலம் சூடினோம் முன்னால் கிழியறுத்தான் என்றுரைத்தோம் கீழ்மையினி சேரும் வழியறுத்தோம் நெஞ்சமே வந்த ஆண்டியன் கொண்டாட பட்டர்பிரான் வந்தான் என்று இந்திய சங்கம் எடுத்தூத வேண்டிய வேதங்களோதி விரைந்து கிழியறுத்தான் பாதங்கள் யாமுடைய பற்று பல்லாண்டு பல்லாண்டு பல்லாயிரத்தாண்டு பல கோடி நூறாயிரம் மல்லாண்டதின் தோல் மணிவண்ணா உன் சேவடி செவித்திருக்காப்பு அடியோமோடும் நின்னோடும் பிரிவின்னி ஆயிரம் பல்லாண்டு வடிவாய் நின் வலமார்பெனல் வாழ்கின்ற மங்கையும் பல்லாண்டு வடிவார் ஜோதி வளத்துறையும் சுடராழியும் பல்லாண்டு படைப்போர் புக்கு முழங்கும் அப்பாஞ்சஜன்யம் பல்லாண்டே. Praying to the Acharyas up to Lord Sriman Narayana, praying to the Alvars and requesting them to grace us with the experience of the transcendental. We now commence the last talk in the series of talks on Alvars, which was proposed by the Elita gated community, Dr. Lakshmikant, Dr. Raghavan, and Mr. Narayan, who initiated this, and Shri Venkatesh, who recommended our school of Vedanta. We are highly grateful to them for giving us an opportunity to experience the Alvars. It is the mighty grace of Lord that we have seen this program to this concluding talk without any breaks. And with nearly 100 people each time enjoying the talks, those who see the recording, and some of them who attend in the live sessions. We are extremely grateful to our acharyas, all these Bhagavat Bandhus who have been with us in this wonderful journey of experience the Alvars. Special thanks to Ilvola and Shiv, who have helped a lot in volunteering to organize this program. And of course, the mind behind all this was Saumya. She is the driving force in our school. And it's just Almighty's blessings that we have her in our school. Now, we have in the past sessions seen that the Alvars had a vision of the Lord after great difficulty. And once they had a vision and experienced him, they could not let go of him. But then the second vision didn't come soon. So all of them cried for the Lord. All of them prayed extremely to the Lord. All of them, without any exception, surrendered to the Lord. And then the Lord gives them some more visions. Then they finally say that they cannot live without the experience of the Lord, which is the case in all the Jivatmas. They have spoken on our behalf. So they say that, and like Udayavar Ramanujacharya's, whose nakshatram is coming shortly in May, like he has told, Atmadharanam alabhamanaha. The Atma which is inside this Deha cannot stay inside the Deha if it does not experience the Lord. Alvars have all experienced and then cried out like this. So it's up to us now to not miss out on this wonderful, blissful experience. It's up to us to follow the path of the Alvars. And in today's talk, it is a coincidence that the three Alvars who are remaining are very special because they all are the favorites of our Acharyan Swami Vedanta Deshikar. Swami Vedanta Deshikar is a pioneer after Bhagavat Ramanujacharya. And whatever we speak today, every little word what we speak today is only his grace. He has blessed us with 28 odd stotras, which are very powerful. He has blessed us with more than 100 works which detail our philosophy. If at all we are in a state of happiness, it is only because of Swami Vedanta Desika. There is no doubt in that. And Swami Vedanta Desika's favorites are these three. Yeah. And it's a coincidence that these three are left and we are doing them in the same day. We will see how he has praised them in his works. So today's topic is how, if you are wanting a shortcut to what the Alvars experienced, they experienced, and then after the first experience, the second experience was difficult to come by. And for that, they struggled hard. If you don't want to struggle hard, there is a shortcut, and that's what we are going to focus on today. And you know that is Acharya Bhakti. One of the Alvars said he doesn't want even to look at God. He wants only to do Acharya Bhakti. Therefore, he is the only Alvar who didn't struggle at all. He has not cried in any of his pastorals. He has not expressed any sufferings at all. It has just been just bliss, joy, happiness only for him, and then service. So we end with that, and then we will also realize that our path has been made very, very easy. We just have to stick with the Acharya and be in satsang, and whatever the Alvars experienced, we can also experience. That will be the conclusion for today. But definitely, uh, I hope these talks have inspired you to at least make a beginning in trying to experience the transcendent. There are lots who don't know the philosophy. They could come to our school and learn the philosophy. There are lots who know the philosophy, are not practicing it. They could also come to the school and learn how to practice it. And there are lots who are reciting the Pashurams, but who are not feeling the bliss. They can also come to our school and then observe, you just have to observe subtly where God is giving you tidbits of bliss, but in the run of our day-to-day life, we miss it. So our school will teach you how to observe those subtle tidbits the Lord is every now and then, telling you, like a lover makes passes at his girlfriend, like that he's making passes. This is what the Alvar says, not my words. These are the words of Tirumangai Azhvar. It says the Lord is making passes at me. So like that, the Lord does do that, but then we are so busy in our material world that we don't observe it. So if you are in that state, then also you can come to our school. But definitely you need to make a beginning, and only then you can uh, not miss out something which you can really enjoy with the human life. With this introduction, if anyone has had any fantastic experience based on the previous talks, we would invite them as usual for 5 minutes, else we will continue the program.
Namaste, ma'am.
There.
Ma'am, actually, I like the philosophy of Vaishnavism, and like I was used to inspire on the talks which have given about Alvars, ma'am, and also I was very feeling curious about that. We have to know about Vaishnavism more and more. Like, I'm feeling very curious. And how the Alvars were born and how they have.
Very nice, sweet one.
Thank you, ma'am.
True, very true. We have not done justice to any of the Alvars. Each Alvar deserves at least 10 days of, 10 hours of talk about their birth, their life, and their teachings. We have not done justice. We hardly give 10 minutes for each Alvar. What you said was correct, Samat. And we will strive to make such an attempt if there are more requests. And you can always come in person, and we are most ready to teach you at our school. Each person is a jewel. We welcome each person and try to meet the requirements of each person in the school. So please come, Samarth. We will try to meet your requirements. As a child, you're really blessed, I would say. I'm extremely happy that in the current situation, these young children and young minds are opening up. I cannot tell you how happy I feel. I think a book fine like you is enough for me. It's more than enough for me. After these talks, we have found the Samarth, and what more Samarth we need? We have found you the capable one, Samarth. May God bless you. May you go a long way and then come to a point where you guide others also. Thank you so much.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
Ma'am, little bit, this Nalaram is equivalent to 4 Vedas. How
Yes.
each one is, how it is connected, little bit I need the explanation, ma'am.
Each one.
Each one. Now another 3 are there.
No, in all. Okay, I will tell you that during the talk.
How it is connected with the Vedas. Their this thing.
They are just Upanishad mantras, the Tamil translation of the mantras.
Mantras, yeah.
That's why it is. That's why it is
related to Vedas. That's in this
Vedas are a part of the Upanishads.
Almost all of them are praying God to attain a moksha or something like that, and relation with the God. That's all. But how it's connected with the Veda. Veda, all 4 Vedas, deals with different item. One Veda teaches how to live. One Veda teaches how to do puja. Another Veda says...
No, it's not like that. All the Vedas teach the same thing. Actually, they were only one heap. In Kali Yuga, Vedavyasa found that everyone cannot read the entire Vedas. People used to read the whole thing was just one heap. He divided, that's why he's called Vyasa, means one who divides. He divided the Vedas into 4 so that each person will need to study only their branch. All the Vedas talk of the same Parabrahman and in almost a similar way, 80% is the same. In each branch of Veda, there are Upanishads. So if you read the Upanishad of your branch and follow that, it is enough. Like that, Vyasa has made sure that if one person reads only one Veda, he's not missing out anything. Then he divided the rishis and allocated them to each Veda and asked them to propagate that Veda alone. Because in Kali Yuga, the entire Vedas cannot be learned by one person. So, if you look at Purusha Sukta, it is there in all the Vedas. So, all the Vedas tell the same thing. If you look at Sama Veda, it has got Chandogya. If you look at Rig Veda, it has got Brihadaranyaka. Brihadaranyaka, Chandogya tell the same thing. So, if you read Chandogya or if you read Brihadaranyaka, it is enough. You don't need to read everything. And the essence of the Upanishads only, the Alvars are told. That is why we call them as Dravida Veda.
Okay.
That is all.
Interconnected only, I mean, that's all.
Yeah, that is why. And then we call Alvars Tiruvanmozhi as Sama because it has got 1,000 and there are 1,000 Sama Shakes. So that's made as Sama Veda. Like that. For that reason only it is made. But the essence of all the Vedas is the same. Vyasa has divided them in such a way that if you master one Veda, it is enough. All the essential spiritual matters will come in each of the Vedas. I hope I have made my point clear.
Yes, sorry for interrupting.
Now we'll start. Today, we are going to look at the 3 Alvars, Tirumangai Azhvar, Tirupan Azhvar, and Madhurakavi Azhvar. Tirumangai Azhvar was born in Tirukurayalur, which is a place in the Chola Mandalam. Those days, there were the Cholas, the Pandyas, Cheras, all ruling the southern India. He was born in the Chola Mandalam. In fact, his father was a commander. And Tirumangai Azhvar also got the same job. He did so well. After some time, the king appointed him as a king of a small province called Tirumangai. He was ruling that province extremely well. He was very brave and in all material ways, he was very successful. He did his job extremely well, very good looking, very strong, very brave. He was a total materialist. Then, in that area, in Tirunagari, some apsaras were playing near the lake. And after they finished playing, they all went back to the heavens. But one of the apsaras got left behind because she was still involved in playing. Then she didn't know how to get back. That apsara was noticed by a Vaishnavite who went to that tank for bath. He took that Apsara girl, came home because he had no children, and she was extremely beautiful, and he brought her up. He named her Kumudavalli. He brought her up. Then everybody was wondering whom Kumudavalli is going to marry. She looked extremely beautiful and she was very good at her work, but nobody knew her origins. So in those days, Vamsha was very important if you want to get married. This Tirumangai, who was very brave, he said, I will marry this lady. So what if you don't know her origin? But when he came to marry her, she told him, you have to be a Vaishnavite if you want to marry me. So Tirumangai quietly went and got his Pancha Samskara done. He got his Pancha Samskara done, and then he came back and told Kumudavalli, now will you marry me? She said, no. How will I believe that you will be a Vaishnavite forever? You have to feed 1008 Vaishnavites every day. Because it is said that more than serving the Lord, serving the devotees of the Lord is an effective way of pleasing the Lord. That's why it is called Tadiya Aradhana. Tat means Brahman. Tat means those who belong to the Brahman, that is the devotees, and doing Aradhana, puja to them. Puja is what? Worshipping by doing all upacharas like giving food, chandanam, all that. So that is called Tadiya Aradhana. If you do Tadiya Aradhanam for 100,008 devotees every day for some time, then I will marry you. Then I will be sure that you are going to be a Vaishnavite. Tirumangai Azhvar is so strong. He does it. He's called Neelam at that time. He's called Neela. He became Azhvar much later. Then Kumudavalli agrees and she marries him. After she marries him, she says, continue this Tadiyaradhana. And for her sake, he continues. But soon, what happens? All the treasury, he was a king, he was using the treasury money to do this. The treasury was getting empty. Then he was reporting to a king of the Chola king. He came and asked him for taxes. He had no money to pay the taxes. Then the commander-in-chief came and he arrested Tirumangai Azhvar and took him. Then Alvars started praying to God. He did not eat food for 3 days. Then Lord Varadaraja of Kanchipuram came and told in his dreams, in the banks of Vegavati river, there is treasure hidden. Come there you and take it and go. Tirumangai Azhvar tells that, and along with the jail authorities, he comes, he digs in the place Varada showed him, and he finds the treasure. He pays the taxes, keeps the excess money, and still does Tadiya Radhana. Even as he is doing that, that money is not. Next year again, he cannot pay the tax. This time, Varada comes in his dream and says, see, give him a handful of sand. That sand will turn into gold coins. And that happens. Then the Chola king asks for excuse and he said, from now on, don't pay any tax. The tax issue was solved. But then the money for doing Tadiya Radhanam itself was not there. His treasury got fully empty. Then Tirumangai Azhvar, called Neela at that time, took to robbery. He started dressing up as a bandit, and he would stand in the forest, loot them. He would take all the wealth of the and all those people. Lord, who was always waiting for an opportunity to play with the devotees, dressed himself up as the bridegroom, Mahalakshmi as the bride, wore all the jewelry, and then came into the forest where this Neelam was as a bandit standing. Then when Neelam attacked the party, the Lord said, go ahead and take everything. He took all the jewels, but one ring at the toe of the Lord, that toe ring did not come out at all. So the Lord said, it is not coming out and you just leave it. No. Even little bit I won't leave. This is not for me. This is for the Lord's Tadiya Radhana. So he just bites the toe of the Lord. And when he puts his head and touches the feet of the Lord tells the Mula Mantra into his ears. And when he puts his head up, he sees the full form of the Lord, and he realizes the bride and bridegroom are none other than Sriman Narayana. And he says this, and when he hears the Mula Mantra, he's completely transformed and he becomes Azhvar, one who gets immersed in the Lord. After that vision of his, he gives up everything, including Tadiya Radhanam, and then goes out on a pilgrimage. The Lord tells him the meaning of the Mula Mantra and the mantra and blesses him and vanishes. Alvar, along with Kumudavali, goes on a long pilgrimage. Now his heart is set on meeting the Lord more. He goes on a pilgrimage to 86 Divya Deshas, starting from Saligrama, which is now Nepal, then Badrinath, all the places, Devaprayag, etc., near Himalayas, then Ayodhya, everything, and down to Setu. Setu is where the Lord is lying down in Dharvashayana. That is the tip of South India. So from the top of North India to the tip of South India, Alvar visits 86 of the 108 Divya Deshas. Imagine in those times when almost 5,000 years ago, and we just had to walk and there were no roads at all. There was no question of any kind of vehicle. At that time, Alvar accomplished this. And then while he was on the pilgrimage, he penned 6 poems. And these 6 are said to be the Veda Angas. If we have to understand the Vedas, we say that what Nammalvar has written is the Vedas. To understand the Vedas, you have to know the 6 Angas. For example, the Anga Nirupta. Nirupta is etymology, it tells the meaning of the words in the Vedas. Then Vyakarana, grammar. Then Siksha, phonetics. Then Jyotisha, Kalpa. Like that, there are 6 auxiliaries in the Vedas, with which only you can understand the Vedas. So the Purvacharyas told that Tirumangai Azhvar's poems are like Angas. If you read them properly, only you can understand Nammalvar's Vedas. Like that, he wrote 6 poems, and he was called Nalkavi Permal, Narkavi Permal, because he excelled in 4 styles of poetry. He even defeated Tirignyana Samandar. That's what history says. Then, after a while penning all this, in the end, he comes back to Srirangam, and then he does a big kind of robbery, which is the epitome of any mystery movie which you can see. After a lot of planning, he gets hold of a sculpture which is called gold and many costly metals. He melts that, takes the money and builds the Madil, the huge compound wall which you see on the Srirangam temple was built by this Alvar only. Like this, he showed his prowess at all times and served the Lord both physically and mentally. Then finally he says, please show me your Dashavatara. Lord shows him the Dashavatara Ranganatha. So near the Ranganatha Sannidhi itself, there is Dashavatara Sannidhi, which was also built by Tirumangai Azhvar. Vedanta Deshikar loves this Azhvar. He always cherishes his teachings. That's why it is told that Vedanta Deshikar is always having his Alvar's words in his mind. Karuthu Urayon, Karuthu means thoughts. Urai, he speaks. He speaks the Karuthu of the Alvars. In this Vali Tirnavam, it is told like that. So amongst all the Alvars, Deshikar speaks only the words of Tirumangai Azhvar. So this Alvar is the favorite of Swami Vedanta Deshika because of his courage, because of his extent of service that he has done, and because of touring all over India, and because of his clear cut. And we will look at his teachings one by one. The first one, Periya Tirumuri. In Periya Tirumuri, there are 1,084 pasurams, and there are 10 decades in each. And it describes the beauty and qualities of the Lord. As I told you, it covers all. But in this phase, Alvar has not had the second vision of the Lord. So All the 1,000 pasarams are only in suffering. He prays to God to quell his Deha Atma Brahma. We think that the Deha, the body, is us. Because of that, we have Ahankara and Mamakara. And because of that, our mind gets disturbed when we get criticized by somebody or when we have some problems in this world. When the mind is disturbed, it can definitely not focus on the transcendental. So he prays to the Lord that he remembers all the time that he is not a Deha and that he should not get affected by Ahankara and Mamakara. And then he also in this Periya Tirumazhi describes the meaning of Ashtakshara or the Mula Mantra, which he has heard directly from the Lord. It is told that in Mahabharata, Sarvam Ashtakshara Antastham, whatever is to be known in the world is known in the Ashtakshara. All the essence of spirituality is there in the Ashtakshara. Sarvam Ashtakshara Antastham. True to that, Tirumangai Azhvar has exposed the meanings of Ashtakshara. And this in this bathroom, which you can see, Kulam Tarum Selvam Tandidum, he says Kulam Tarum. Kulam means to which community you belong, Vaishnava Kulam, Shaiva Kulam, like that. This when this Narayana Nama gives you the ultimate Kulam. Selvam Tandidum. Selvam is treasure. What is treasure? God's service, a devotee's company, that is treasure. That it will give you. Adiyar padutuyar ayinavellam nilandaram seyyum. Padutuyar, tuyar sufferings, big sufferings. They are all put aside by just Narayana Nama. This he has experienced himself when he has traveled all over to Saligrama and then down to South India. Many a times in South India, he was challenged by many poets like that. And in the north, you can imagine there'll be so many animals, everything in the Himalayan forest. He has faced all those things. He has come out successfully. He says it's only because of the Narayana Nama. And Neel Vishumbe Arulum Arulodu Perunilam Alikum. It not only gives you the material, it gives you relief from material sufferings, it also gives you the ultimate Neel Vishumba, the Akasha, which is beyond the Viraja, that is Sri Vaikuntham. It gives Sri Vaikuntham, experience of Sri Vaikuntham. And then Balan Tarum Matram Tandidam, it gives you all that you want. Matram Tandidam, one should not think that if one gets Sri Vaikunta, the material sorrows will come. No. You'll get just enough to live comfortably in this world also. Balam Tandidam, all auspicious, all mangalas will happen to a person who is dedicated to the Lord and to the Narayana Nama. And finally he says, Petra Thayirum Ayina Seyyum. The one who loves you most and consistently is your mother. There is no doubt. A mother can never do harm to her child. Kuputro bhavati apitu kumata kadapi na jayati. There could be a bad son, but there can never be a bad mother. He says. Therefore, the Alvars says that even more than a mother can give you this Ashtakshara mantra, they look after you with so much of love. Therefore, Sollai Nan Kandu Konde, the name Narayana, I Kandu Konde is indicating that he was a seer. Seer means one who sees. Kandu Konde. I'm seeing means I had a vision of the Lord who gave me this Narayana mantra, and because of that, all my sufferings are gone, and I'm getting all that is desired in a person. He says like this. He goes in detail about the Ashtakshara mantra. Therefore, Alvar's works are very important for us because everything is there in Ashtakshara only, the Mula mantra. And since he gives the details of those, Alvar's work form a very important basis for our philosophy. Then the next teaching was in Tirukurundandakam. This has got only 20 pasharams. By the time he penned this, Alvar has had the second vision of the Lord. So he was extremely happy after the vision. That's when he wrote this poem. So he says, this adorable, most adorable Lord with all divinity has entered my heart. I worship him I will never let go of him. This is the first Pashuram. Then he says, I have swallowed him with love. Then he says, like a hot iron drinking water, my when you put water on the tawa, dosa tawa, how it disappears like that. Like that, I have swallowed the Lord because I was hot and waiting for the Lord. And when I had the vision, just like water runs away from the hot tawa, the Lord has gone inside me, he says. And then he said, such people who have the Lord in vision and worship him with so much love, they are my masters. I will keep their feet on my head because it is so difficult to get such a vision of the Lord. And then he says, how to get that vision, that is very important for us. He said, just bring your two eyelids together and then keep your thought only on that Lord. And then you will see a light emerging. And within that light, you will see a body. And that is the Lord. That is the truth. Those who have seen that have known the truth. So he indicates how to do a dhyana also. And then finally he says, but if you do not go to all the Divya Deshas, you cannot really enjoy the Lord. He's a staunch promoter of going and seeing the Archavatara of the Lord. He shows a lot of involvement in Archavatara because it is very simple to see the Lord in this form. It is difficult to do dhyana and then have a vision of that. But if you go to the temples, you can have a wonderful experience by seeing the smile of the Lord on the Archa. And sometimes a lot of different experiences, like Sarngapani woke up when Tirumai Alvar went to him. Such experiences also you get. It's very easy to please the Archa. With great difficulty, the Lord is standing as Archa. Whenever the butter gives him food, only he can eat, otherwise he has no food. Yet the Lord stands as Archa in the temples because it is simple for us to pray him and reach him in this manner. Therefore, in great detail, Alvar says, if you don't go to the Divya Deshas, where is salvation for you? That means he is saying that uh, we must show a lot of interest in the Archavatara. So in this manner, with the second vision, Tirumangai Azhvar starts loving the Lord to a great, great extent. And then he comes to Kumbakonam. There, his mentor Tirumangai Azhvar has sung the Sarangapani Lord. He knows that Tirumangai Azhvar was last, but one, or the last Azhvar, in fact. So he knows all that. So he surrenders to this Ara Amura Perumal in Kumbakonam. And he writes a wonderful poem, which is in the shape of a chariot. How it is in the shape of a chariot, it takes some time to explain, but you can definitely, those who are interested, can contact. It is called Chitra Alankara. You give numbers and then you place the words inside squares, and when you draw the whole picture with the squares, you will get the shape of a chariot. It is said that Lord Ara Muda Perumal came down in a chariot and then he's standing in Kumbakonam. The Garbhagriha itself was the shape of a chariot. Therefore, Alvar sings this Prabandham, a very short Prabandham, but if you follow the numbers, then you get the shape of a chariot. This is called Chitrabandham, and it is just to this Lord that Tirumangai Azhvar surrenders. After that, he wants the third vision. He is not getting it. Again, he gets desperate. And this time, what he does is there is a type of poetry called madal in Tamil literature. Madal means when a lover has been jilted by his girlfriend. The man has been jilted and she is going to marry somebody else. Then this man takes out a daring act. He goes through all the villages and he acts as if he's sitting on a horse. The horse is nothing but a palmyra leaf. He catches on to that because he wants to attract as many as possible. He acts like a mad person and he starts telling how much he loves that girl, and he starts calling names to the family members because they are not getting the girl married to him. Keeps a photo of the girl and then he doesn't have a bath and he looks terrible as if he's very desperate for that girl. Seeing his very pitiable state, those days, the relatives and friends of the girl and even king used to interfere and make sure that this boy and the girl who had loved each other get married. This was called Madal. Now, Alvar did the same thing. This time his love was the Lord, but the Lord is a man. So he thinks of himself to be a lady. A lady never acts like a man. But he takes model that in Tamil Nadu, they have not understood the great power of love. They have not understood that even women can have love which will overpower everybody. Therefore, as a woman, I'm going to take a model and make sure I will get my love. So, and he says in the literature, he says, I have lost my heart to the Lord, and he has been attracting me from time immemorial, and now he has suddenly left me. How can I be alive without him? All this he tells in a model, and then he says, if I have to sustain my life, get that Lord for me. Like this, as a lady love, he cries out to the Lord in two pramandans called Sriram Thirumadal and Periya Thirumadal. Then finally, the Lord appears. And in this last work, which is got 30 pastorals, the Lord makes his final appearance, and this is called Tirunedundandakam. In Tirunedundandakam, in the first 10 pastorals, Alvar has outlined the philosophy in a very crisp manner. In fact, many of the debates in those days were won because of quoting these 10 pastorals only. That's why Swami Deshikar is very fond of Alvar. In these 10 pasarams itself, he completely outlines Vishishtadvaita philosophy. He begins, he says, Lord is the inner controller of all. He is the Antaryami, Sarvantaryami. All the three, Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma, are nothing but Sriman Narayana. Shiva and Brahma have Antaryami as Sriman Narayana, and Vishnu is Sriman Narayana himself. All these important philosophical points he makes in these first 10 passions. Then again in the second 10 passions, he talks as if he's the mother of the girl who has been left by the Lord. The mother tells, this girl is crying so much that her bangles had slipped from her hand. She has trained a parrot, and when it tells the names of the Lord, she calls out to the parrot and gives it lots of sweets. And then she does namaskara to the parrot because the parrot is telling the names of her loved one. And then she says she has lost her modesty and she has brought a lot of ill fame to the family. Like this, the mother is talking about the girl, and she's very often she thinks of the Lord and swoons. These are the 10 pastorums which indicate the Alvar's longing for the Lord. And in the next 10 pastorums, he himself, as Nayaki, tells his pain. He says, a very strong man with bow, with red lips and so attractive came to me. I asked him, where are you from? He said, Srirangam. My heart fell for him. I'm having a heartache now. He made passes at me. He sang in so many ragas, and now he is not there. Where is he gone, leaving me? Is it fair? Go and tell the Lord. Is it fair to leave this damsel in such a state? Like this, he cries out and sends messengers. Then he says, I will live for the Lord forever. I shall not ever forget him. And finally, he says, I am a cur. Oh Lord, I am a cur, but it's okay. Please come and show me yourself. Then in the last pasuram, the Lord shows himself. So the Lord Alvar says, those who recite these 30 pasurams will have a vision of the Lord and will get all their karmas dissolved. So this is the same process which all Alvars go. Lord gives them his wonderful vision once in a while. He gives them wonderful experiences, and then they are desperate for the Lord. They sing out to him like a lover who has been rejected. They sing out to him like the mother of the lover who has been rejected. And in between, they put lots of tattvas, the realities, exactly like all other Alvars. Tirumangai Azhvar's teachings, they are plenty and they're also very clear in the voice, and therefore is extremely popular among all the Purvacharyas. This is about Tirumangai Azhvar. and how he turned from being a soldier, a commander, into a great lover of the Lord and a great literature. It is said that his poems were of such high standard that when Tirumangai Samandar, who was supposed to be one of the greatest poets in Tamil literature, he came and contested, and Alvar found a mistake in his poem. And then when Tirumangai Samandar asked Alvar to sing, Alvar sang, and Jnana Sambandar accepted his defeat and gave him lots of titles. This is there etched in history itself. Like this, Alvar was not only a great soldier, but he was also a great literator, and more than everything, he is an extremely great devotee of the Lord. He was not from the Brahmin community. The next Alvar that you're seeing here also defies the caste system. He very clearly brings to our notice that caste is not an advantage in devotion to the Lord. It's neither a disadvantage nor is it an advantage. Tirupan Azhvar was born in the fourth caste, and he was born near the temple of Srirangam in a place called Urayur. Urayur, Omlavali Nachiyar. Ranganathar visits her once in a year. And in that place, Alvar was born. It was on the other bank of Kaveri. On one bank of Kaveri is the Srirangam temple. The other bank was Urayur, and Alvar was situated there. Even at a very young age, Tirupan Azhvar had, because of the blessings of the Lord, he had a vision of the Lord. He knew all the Tattva, Hita, and Purushartha. Tattva means the realities of the world, and Hita, what is to be done to reach the Lord. Purushartha, what will you gain if you reach the Lord? You will gain complete bliss. Now he had understood these things, and then in very simple Tamil, he would stand on the banks of Kaveri, look at the Srirangam Gopuram, and keep singing songs to Lord Ranganatha. He would have a tambura in his hand that is called pan. It is not a complete tambura, there is a couple of strings, and so that it gives him the motivation to sing. So he was called Pan Azhvar. Tirupan Azhvar. The instrument is called pan. Then it so happened once when he was on the banks of Kaveri, the butter archakar of Lord Ranganatha had to collect water from Kaveri to do Abhisheka to Lord Ranganatha. At that time, he goes to Kaveri with a golden pot. Then he sees that in the water's direction, the water was touching Tirupan Azhvar's feet because he was standing inside the water, and then it was coming down, and then this butter had to collect the water downstream. So he thought that water touching his feet should not be taken for the Lord. And he called out to Tirupan Azhvar and asked him to step back so that he doesn't put his legs in the water. Azhvar was totally immersed. That's why they are called Azhvar. Azhvar is immersed in his singing, and he did not hear the butter. Then the butter took a stone and flung it at Azhvar. It so happened that it hit the Azhvar on his forehead. Then Alvar looked around and saw, and he understood what he had done, and he profusely apologized, and he went back into the bank. Then Butter collected the water and went to the temple. But when he went to the temple, to his great amazement, he saw blood was flowing from Ranganatha's forehead. He got amazed, and he profusely apologized to Lord Ranganatha. In the night, Lord Ranganatha came in the dreams of this Butter and told him, "You have done a big mistake by hurting my devotee. Now, to make up for that, go to his house and bring him to the temple." So this Butter never questioned the Lord. The very next day, he ran to Pan Azhvar's house. Pan Azhvar was shivering. He is from the last caste, and the temple priest has come to his house. He said, No, I won't come. We are not supposed to enter the temple. Then he said, if you don't come, I have been instructed, I will take you on my back So he just took the Alvar, placed him on his shoulders, and walked with the Alvar on his shoulders to the temple. That's why Alvar came to be known as Muni Vahanar, one who had a Muni as his Vahana. No? Like that, each god, like Ganesha has mouse as his Vahana, but then this Tirupan Azhvar had a Muni as his Vahana. Then he went to the temple. He was beyond amazement. It's just like a shock for him. And then, even as he entered the temple, which he was so longing to enter, he started singing about the Lord. And it is said that when he reached the Garbhagriha, he sang the last Pasuram, a 10th Pasuram, in which it says, the one who has seen the Lord, the eyes which have seen the Lord will not see anything else. He said that and he merged into the Lord. The intensity of his emotion was so much that after the 10th Pasuram, he simply merged into the Lord. So he has sung only 10 Pasurams, and he is the Alvar which Vedanta Deshikar calls as Nam Pananathan. Nam means our Pananathan. You say our to a person who is very close to you. Tirupan Azhvar was so close to the heart of Vedanta Deshikar that he wrote a similar poem in Sanskrit called Bhagavad Dhyana Sopana, which is almost a translation of Amalanadi Piran, written by this Tirupan Azhvar, which describes the Lord from feet to his crown, step by step. Wonderful 10 Pasurams, and whoever so recites it will definitely feel a splurge in bhakti, in devotion in them. Not only that, Swami Deshika wrote a separate commentary called Muni Vahana Bhogam, called the Alvar as Bhagavat Anubhava Rasagnya. Rasagnya means connoisseur, one who knows the wonderful taste of experiencing the transcendental. So he had so much of regard for Tirupan Azhvar. Now let us see what is there in that Amalanadi Piran which attracted Swami Deshika so much. It is said that the Lord suckles, that Alvar suckles the feet of Lord. He just, takes lot of energy from the feet of Lord, and then he sings the 10 Pasurams and then marches in the Lord. Because he starts his Amalanadi Piran with the first Pashuram, which says, my eyes have totally drunk up the Lord's feet. He says, he is Amalan Adi. He is staying inside us, we are full of blemishes, yet he has no blemishes. That is the beauty. That's why he's called Amalan. Adiyarku ennai aatpadutha Vimalan. He says, the Lord has made me serve the devotees. It is very important that if you have to be an Atma, we have to have Sheshatva or subservience. The Lord has made that possible for me by giving a chance to serve the devotees of the Lord. Alvar says, such a Lord's feet have come into my eyes, and I'm always now in his presence. He begins like that. Then from his feet, he goes to the wonderful thighs of the Lord. There he enjoys the yellow, wonderful silk of the Lord. And then he goes further ahead, and then he says the Lord's navel is so beautiful because in that navel lies Brahma, the father of all the creation. So, and then he says, now I see the girdle, the ornament around the waist, that's called Kanchi. This Kanchi enhances the beauty of the Lord, and it also binds us. It binds our ego and it binds our possessiveness, ahankara and mamakara. Then his eyes move to the divine chest where Lord Mahalakshmi lies. Mahalakshmi is the identifier of the Lord because the Lord is known as Shri of Pati, the consort of Shri Devi. If you go to Shri Vaikuntham, everybody will have 4 hands and everybody have lotus eyes. They'll all look the same, just like what you're seeing on your screen. But what will be the difference? The Lord will have Mahalakshmi in his Vakshasthala. You have to look for that to understand who is the Lord. So she is the identifier of the Lord. That Mahalakshmi, he says, and when he sees her, he said, now I'm completely under your control. You have enslaved me. Then he sees the neck of the Lord and he says, aren't you the neck which swallows all the worlds during Pralaya? Oh my God. And when you swallow all the worlds, it goes into the stomach. And how do you keep it in the stomach as a small boy? He wonders at the amazing things that the neck and the stomach of the Lord do. And he looks at the red lips and says, aren't you the lips which said, Ma Suchaha, don't worry, in Charma Shloka of Bhagavad Gita, aren't you the one who gave me the assurance? Then he looks at the red eyes of the Lord and says, ah, they are calling out to me. Swagata Udara Netram, Swami Deshika says. If you look at Ranganatha's eyes, from a distance itself, you don't even have to go to the Garbhagriha. At the entrance itself, the first mandapa, you can see his eyes. So Swami Deshika says the eyes are welcoming us when we go. So how are you? Did you take so long to come here? Was it very tiring for you? Like this, Lord's eyes seem to be inquiring us even when as we are entering his mandapa. This is what Alvar also enjoys. And then he says, the Lord who is dark in color, he has made the impossible because his whole world he has swallowed. And then on his beautiful black form, he has white pearls and he's sleeping on the alilai. He's sleeping on the banyan leaf like a small boy after swallowing all the Brahmanda. Oh my God, he does the impossible. It's called Agatita Ghatana Shakti. What is impossible to do, the Lord does. And so he praises the Lord like that. In the last Pashuram, he says, I now remember the Lord is the one who stole butter. He is the thief who stole butter. Butter is nothing but a soft heart of the devotees. And the heart is molten due to the love for the God. It's the Lord puts his hand into the body, which is like a pot, and takes that Atma and makes it his. So such a Lord who takes the Navanita, if I see him, the Karuna Murti, my eyes will not see anybody else, he says. And then he closes his eyes, and with that he merges with the Lord. So Swami Deshika has written the whole thing in one sloka. He says, oh, my mind, Manisha, you touch the Lord's feet, then you prostrate at his ankles, then you go and rest on his supportive thighs, then you still go ahead and then swim in the navel, which is like a whirlpool, and then you go and relax on the wide chest of the Lord. And then, after going circling around his arms, you go and enjoy the beautiful crown of the Lord, which is brilliant. Then you come back and settle down in the heart of the Lord. The place for all the jivatmas is the heart of the Lord, which is called the Kaustubha Mani, which is exactly next to Mahalakshmi. She is on one side, all the jivatmas are on the other side. It is to say that Lord loves us as much as he loves Mahalakshmi. So he says in his dhyana, he goes from the feet right up to the ground and comes back and settles in the Vakshasthala. And in the same manner, Alvar enjoys the Lord and becomes one in him. This is a very important teaching for us that the caste is not at all uh, uh, any kind of advantage or disadvantage for a person who is devoted to the Lord. Then the next Alvar is Madhurakavi Azhvar. Madhurakavi Azhvar is very, very unique because he does not sing the Lord at all. He gives us a very important teaching that if you are going to sing the Lord, then like all other Alvars, you have to go through the sufferings. If you look at Tirumangai Azhvar, he got jailed and then he had to beg the Lord, find treasure, pay the tax, then he had to do robbery, then finally he got Mula Mantra Upadesha. Again, the Lord disappeared. Again, he traveled from Himalayas to Setu looking for the Lord. He didn't find the Lord. He wrote thousands of slokas. Then the Lord appeared for a brief while like this. And Tirupan Azhvar got hit on his forehead and he was carried. Before that, he suffered so much. Like this, all the Alvars have suffered immensely because they get one vision of the Lord, and after that, to get the second vision, it is very, very difficult. But Madhurakavi Azhvar has no such suffering. because he has his Lord in front of him all the time. He was the disciple of Nammalvar. For him, Nammalvar was God. Nammalvar was his Acharya. Madhurakavi Azhvar was born in Tirukolur. There is Trivikrama Perumal there. He was born, he was a very chaste Brahmin. Purva Shikha Samavedi. These are the this clan of Brahmins is called Munkudimi. They have Kudimi in the front, not at the back. And he was a Samavedi, so he was one of the most learned Brahmins amongst the Vedic Brahmins of those times. He was equipped with all the sanskaras, Chola sanskara, Upanina, Vivaha, everything. And his knowledge was perfect in the sense that he could do all the yajnas, yagas, he had done Veda, Dhyana, everything was fine. But he was not feeling the bliss. He knew there was something beyond it. He wanted to see God, he wanted to feel bliss. Therefore, he undertook a pilgrimage. While he was in Ayodhya, from down south, he reached Ayodhya in the north. After an extreme prayer to the Lord, he saw a bright light in the sun, in the night sky. And the Lord said, you follow this light and you will get whatever you want to know. He followed that light all the way from Ayodhya. That light was moving towards the south. Then he went past Dwaraka. See, when you come from Ayodhya, you have to pass the middle of India. There, people told him in Dwaraka, Sri Krishna is there. God himself is there. But Madhurakavi Azhvar did not want to go and see the Lord also. He said, he has told me to follow this light. I am going to get a guru who is going to teach me about the Lord. I need the guru first. So he just continues beyond Dwaraka. He comes down south, he comes to Tirunelveli, and this light stops in Alvar Tirunagari. And then he finds out from the people that in Alvar Tirunagari, a small boy has been sitting without eating anything and without opening his eyes under a tamarind tree. That is our Nammalvar. So he goes in front of the tamarind tree and the light ends there. He's very happy. Then he asks Alvar. He wanted to check if Alvar is going to speak. Yes, செத்ததில் வயிற்றில் சிறியது பிறந்தால் எத்தை தின்று எங்கே கிடக்கும். It says in this non-sentient, செத்தது means the dead one. The body is a dead one. Body has no life. The life is only in the soul. So he says in this body, if this subtle soul enters, he doesn't say soul, he says செத்ததின் வயிற்றில் சிறியது, small one. If the small one enters, what will it eat and where will it stay? He thought if Alvar knew the philosophy, he will tell the correct answer. Now Alvar, he said, in his own, the language of Madhurakavi Azhvar only, he replied. He says, Attai tindru ange kidakkum. Now you also figure out. Said, it'll eat that and it will stay there. At once Madhurakavi Azhvar knew that Nammalvar was his guru, because in his own language, Alvar replied, said, it will eat that and stay there. It means, that means the Lord. Eat means enjoy. It will enjoy the Lord and stay in the body till the Lord relieves it from the body. So immediately, Alvar prostrated in front of Nammalvar. Madhurakavi Azhvar was an old Brahmin in his 80s. Nammalvar was not a Brahmin and he was only 16 years old. See, age has no barrier at all. And then he started worshipping Nammalvar as Nammalvar revealed all the 4 prabandhams that we saw, Tiruvashiriyam, Tiruvaimozhi, Periya Tiruvandadi, and all these prabandhams as he revealed to him Tiruvaratam. Then Madhurakavi Azhvar used to prostrate to him and he used to do puja only to Nammalvar as if he was God. The tamarind tree was in the temple of the Adi Perumal, but he did not at all go and worship that Lord. He worshipped only Nammalvar day after day. Now this is called Acharya Nishtha, being disciplined by having devotion towards the Acharya alone. It is said that Acharya Nishtha is the easiest path to experiencing the transcendental. When you consider the Acharya as a live God, then you follow the path of what Madhurakavi Azhvar has shown, which we will see in his 10 pasurams. Then with no sufferings at all, it will be a cool ride for you towards experiencing the transcendental. That is why it is told in the Upanishads also, Guru Prakashiye Dhiman. One has to always be aware of his Guru and always sing the praises of his Guru. Mantram yatnena govayet. The philosophy and the mantras, the meaning of the mantras, you have to give only to selected people in secrecy. If you tell them in public, then any person who's against the religion may come and talk wrongly and confuse you. Therefore, you always have to talk only about the gurus, the Alvars, the Acharyas, and their achievements. The real mantra you have to tell only in secrecy. This is what Madhurakavi Azhvar taught us, and he did it, and he showed us that one who practices this path has a very easy ride towards the transcendental. Now we will see what is the path, what are the teachings of Madhurakavi Azhvar, which Swami Vedanta Deshika has written in great detail. He has written a commentary on Kanninam Chiruttambu, which has got 11 pasurams, which are written by Madhurakavi Azhvar, which talk of Acharya Bhakti, devotion to the Acharya. And in one pasuram, he has given the complete essence of this Kanninam Chiruttambu, 11 pasurams. For each pasuram, one word Swami Vedanta Desika has mentioned. And then he says, those who want to travel this path of spirituality, which is like walking on the razor's edge, which is very difficult. If you fall, you will hurt yourself badly because you have abandoned the material world. Now we are going on the spiritual path. In between, if you feel, no, this path is not for me, then you will neither be a materialist, nor will you have achieved the transcendental. So it's like walking on the razor's edge. And if you do anything which is unrighteous, then also you will fall down, you hurt yourself badly. So he says, it's so difficult to walk on this path. Tunivar Gadgad, those who have tunivar, those who have courage to walk on this path, all you have to do is stick to the path shown by Madhurakavi Azhvar. That is the last sentence in this Pashuram, which Swami Deshika has sung about Kanninam Chiruttambu. Now we will take one word from that Pashuram, which Swami Deshika has given, and understand the meaning of Kanninam Chiruttambu, which talks of how to do bhakti to the Acharya. If you do bhakti to Acharya, then getting the Lord is very, very easy. We don't have to suffer like all the Alvars suffered. And why the Alvars suffered? They were capable. As the Kali Yuga sets in, we will not be capable to withstand that kind of suffering. That's why the Lord himself, through Madhurakavi Azhvar, has revealed Acharya Nishtha to us, so that in Kali Yuga, we do that devotion and very easily achieve the transcendental. We cannot bear the sufferings which the Alvars went through. Now, let us see what are the aspects of Acharya Bhakti. The first one, it says, Kandinun Chirittambinal Kattum Nappanniya Perumayan Yennappanen. Very lovely emotion of Alvar. He says, Kandinun Chirittambinal. Yashoda tied up Lord Krishna with a Shiru Tambu. Tambu means rope. Shiru Tambu, that rope was not long. She took small pieces of rope and then pieced them all together, because how much ever the rope became long, it was not enough to tie Krishna. She kept bringing pieces of rope and making the rope longer and longer, yet Krishna was not contained in that. And then she cried, she fell down. And then when she cried, Krishna became, he bound by the next piece of rope which she brought along. Like this Lord who tied himself up with the Shirat Tamba, small rope which had lots of kannas, that means which had a lot of knots in it, because she had pieced the ropes together. That Lord who has so much of love for his devotee Yashoda, even if he has love for his devotee, I don't want him let him be on one side. He says, even if Lord is a very adorable person, let him be on one side. For me, my Acharyan is everything. That is the first thing one must have in when you are on the spiritual path of Acharyanishte. One should have more devotion to the Acharya than to the Lord, because you have to decide what is your priority. Is it the Acharya or the Lord? Because many a times the two utsavams will clash. Service to Acharya is 24-hour service. So there at that time you cannot participate in the utsavam in the temple. Like Embar, once the Ranganatha Utsavam was coming in front of Ramanuja's ashram, then everybody in the ashram ran to see Ranganatha was coming in Utsavam. But there was one man, Embar, he did not come, he was in the kitchen. Then Ramanuja came back and said, what, Embar? God is coming in front of the ashram and you are still sitting inside. Is it not showing disrespect to God? Then he says, what happens to this God of mine? He referred to the milk which he had kept on the stove. He said, if this God, which is milk, had overflowed, then my God, that is Ramanuja, would have suffered. He was in charge of giving milk on the night to Ramanujacharya, had to boil it, cool it, and give. So he said that if I came to see Ranganatha on the road, then I could not have done service to my Acharya. So this is called Acharya Nishte. He used to keep his Acharya's Paduka on a shelf which was above the Lord's Paduka. And then Ramanuja would say, why are you doing this? Is it not disrespect? He said, no, this is your God. That is my God. Like this, Embar was so much attached to Ramanujacharya. So he was very close to him. He had a very easy ride in experiencing the Lord. Like this, here also Madhurakavi Azhvar says that let that Lord who got tied by Yashoda be in one side. For me, Annikum Amudu Orum Yennavuke. If I tell the name Azhvar, Nammalvar, then nectar comes in my tongue. Amadu Urum. Nectar, Amadu Urum. It starts oozing in your tongue. See, whenever you want to eat, for example, now you think of jalebi, think of carrot halwa, and all those lovely Mysore pak and all those sweets, immediately saliva starts coming in your tongue. No? That is called amudu. Why? Because those are very sweet. You have experienced them to be sweet. For Madhurakavi Azhvar, his experience with Nammadwar is so sweet that he had told him all the tattvas which he very much wanted to learn from 80 years. He told him very, very easily in a couple of words. And then Alvar kept remembering them and he was feeling the transcendental. Therefore, whenever he even thought of his Acharya, just like when we think of carrot halwa and Mysore pak, the tongue waters, his tongue used to water. So one should first develop devotion towards the Acharya by having wonderful experiences with the Acharya, by imbibing the teachings of the Acharya, and then experiencing a little bit of the transcendental. If you experience that, then you'll be very attached to the Acharya, not by simply reading like that. One has to experience whatever the Acharyas taught us, then you will be extremely grateful to the Acharya, and whenever you take his name also, the Amrita will move in your tongue, like for Mother Kanya. Then in the next one, he says, I have surrendered, but I have not surrendered to the Lord. I have surrendered to my Acharya. Maybe name Avan Ponnadi, golden feet. The Acharya's feet is the golden feet. May we name means I am totally lost in love of that feet. I have surrendered completely. This is what we also do in today's prapatti. We do not surrender to the Lord directly because the Lord is a karma phala prada. He will give the fruits of our karma, come what may. But Acharyan, when you surrender to him, whatever mistakes we have done, he will change those things and then make us good and then submit us to the Lord. Therefore, at that time, the Lord will not reject us. Not only that, the Acharya is so having the Lord under his control because of his devotion to the Lord. The Lord, as he says, Jnani tu atmaiva me matam. I consider a Jnani as my Atma. Therefore, the Lord will listen to the Jnani, to the Acharya. And if the Acharya recommends us, there's no way Lord will say no. But if we go ourselves directly, the Lord may say no at any point of time. Therefore, he says, surrender at the Acharya's feet is the safest way to getting on to the spiritual path. Then immediately my Acharya, after I surrendered, I didn't have to wait long. All Uriyanai, he made me his all, his servant. There is a difference between a servant who comes to a house for 1 or 2 hours and works and goes away, and this all hangs around the master. And then whatever the master eats, the leftover he eats, whatever he wears, and then after some days he feels it's not fit to wear, he wears those clothes. Like that, he becomes completely like the master by eating and wearing and imitating him in all his ways. And after that, he slowly acquires all the powers of the master. Such a person is called all. Say, Nammalvar, after I surrendered to him, he made me his all. He allowed me to be around him all the time, and he made me his intimate servant. Then he says, for me, my Acharya only is Annayai, Attanai, he is my mother, he is my father, he is everything. We look at the Lord and we say, Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva. A Mata is one who loves her children. She will never do harm. She will never do anything unpleasant also. The father may do something unpleasant because in the long run it will be good for the child, but the mother does not do anything unpleasant. Lord does many unpleasant things to us. He gives the fruits of our karma. That's how he teaches us to and corrects us. But Acharya is not like that. He will very, very lovingly tell the Sishya why he has to change, how he has to change, what are the benefits of changing in such a kind and patient manner that he's like a mother. Like this, Alvar, Madhurakavi Azhvar says, all my relationships are only with my Acharya. He is my friend because a friend is one who helps when you're in need. Whenever I'm having a problem, I can go to my Acharya, he will tell me the solution. But if I go to the Lord, he'll keep his mouth shut. Therefore, I have the speaking Lord in front of me, who is my Acharya, who is my friend in need. Why should I go to the Lord? Madhurakavi Azhvar says, isn't that very true? Then he says, the first thing Acharya did in me, he changed my material desires. Madhurakavi Azhvar was a great Vedic Brahmin, so he used to perform all the rites and he used to get all the good fruits of those rites and rituals, and he had interest only in them. Nammalvar told him, the first thing you have to do is understand that those fruits which you get, which are materialistic, are only temporary. They are only tinsel. You experience the transcendental, then you will find that you won't have any love for these material desires. When he taught him that, Alvar says, oh my God, at last I found the real meaning of all the Vedic mantras. Sadirten, he says, Sadirten means in doing very less work, I got a big fruit. It's a smart way of doing work. Today we say work smart, don't work hard. That is only Sadirten. In a very smart way, by just falling at the feet of the Acharya, I got the biggest fruit in life, which is transcendental bliss. All these days, I was doing so many yagas and yajnas and trying to get fruits. Acharya changed my mind and he just said, be devoted to Lord. You will get the ultimate, which is the bliss of the transcendental. Then next thing he says, he allowed me to sing his praises. He said, now I have so much time. I have surrendered. What is to be done, I have done. What should I do now? And he asked Acharya. Acharya said, sing the praises. He didn't say whose praises. Then Alvar immediately understood. He made Kaninun Chiritambu and daily sang the praises of his Acharya, which led eventually to him understanding all the works of Nammalvar. And then Adi Tirivane, he said, I roamed all the streets singing Nammalvar's works. So first you begin with Alvars, Acharyan's Taniyan. Once you master that, you will master all the works of the Acharyan, and then you will be in a position to experience the transcendental and also make all others experience the transcendental. That is a very great service which Madhurakavi Azhvar did during those times. He used to propagate Tiruvalmuri. And then Val Vinay, Patri Arulinan, why he couldn't do it all these days? He had Val Vinay, strong sins, strong karma vasanas. It's like if you drink coffee for 21 days, then after that you can't be without coffee. For millions of births, we have done acts which bind us to samsara. Therefore, these strong karma vasanas, remnants, impressions will not leave us. Only when the acharya's vibrations and good grace falls on us, we will completely change. So this is another great advantage when you are in the presence of an acharya, who is Lord himself. For the brief while when acharya does upadesha, he is called avesha avatar. The Lord himself comes into the acharya. And therefore, when he does Upadesha, all our well-benign past reminiscent impressions will vanish in a jiffy. That cannot be said so about those who do Sharanagati at the feet of the Lord, which you can see in the case of Alvars. So Tondarapudi Alvar, though he was doing Kainkariam, he went astray for some time and then he came back after the Lord corrected him. Whereas in Madhurakavi Azhvar's case, there was no going astray at all. So this is another big advantage of being in the company of Acharya. Then he said, Arul Kandir Ibulahinil Mikkade. He says, in this world, if there is grace, the greatest grace, the ultimate grace, that is only Acharya's grace. No other grace, mother's grace, father's grace, God's grace, nothing. Say Mata, Pita, Guru. No, all these are nothing. Acharya's grace is the Ulahinan Mikkade. Can never find more grace in this world than the grace which Acharya bestows on his Sishya. He loves his Sishya more than his life, and he always wishes good for his Sishya. Because of that only, Alvar has given us Tiruvalmuri, he says in Kaninam Charitam. Then finally he says, Ulpurul Nikkapadi Tiruvalmuri is nothing but the Ulpurul, the internal meaning, the essence of all the Vedas. And he taught it in such a way that Nikkapadi, it stayed permanently in my heart. It is not like this lecture of mine, which for 1 hour you have information being thrown at you as information highway. You have to listen to it many times to understand the real essence. I wonder if it is making an impact. That what Alvar Acharya does, it makes a solid impact on the disciple. Nikkapadi, it stays in the heart of the disciple and completely changes the disciple. This is the advantage of going to an Acharya. And last but not the least, Tiritti Panikolman, he corrects us. Now, how does the Lord correct us? By giving something unpleasant. If we burn our hands, we have to think what was the thought in our mind for which God punished us. Like this, we have to find out what mistakes we are doing. Mahalakshmi is slightly better. She does not punish us. But Acharya is even better. Even before we get punished, he finds out our mistakes and then he corrects us. Kiriti. And then Pani, he changes our conduct, because of which we don't have to suffer at all. And that is a line which all of us are following, the Deshika followers, which is the Acharya Nishta. We go and surrender at the feet of the current Acharya, who has surrendered to his Acharya, who has surrendered to his Acharya, and of the Acharya Parampare, and Nathamuni, Nammalvar, and Nammalvar has surrendered to the Lord. So we don't surrender directly. We are not Nammalvar to surrender to the Lord. So we surrender at the feet of our current Acharya and gain all the benefits of devotion to Acharya, that immediately we get Kainkarya, and the Acharya is a living mother, father, all relatives. It's a very smart way of getting transcendental bliss, because Acharya corrects our contact. He teaches us the essence of all the Vedas in a jiffy, and then we are now traversing on the spiritual highway with no obstacles in front of us. So in a very grand manner, Swami Vedanta Deshika in Guru Parampara Sara of Srimad Rahasya Sara has mentioned that Acharya Nishte is the easiest path to reaching the Lord. And one must study that in detail to understand. I don't know if I have done justice today, but I would like to tell you that please be in satsang, be at the feet of the Acharya, and then there is no stopping for you all. The thing to know from all these Alvars is the most loving Lord is the means for all our desires. Krishnam Dharmam Sanatanam. Sanatana Dharma means the Lord is the means for achieving all our desires. And to be completely steadfast in the Lord, we have to catch hold of the Acharya. That is the smartest way and easiest way to be in the presence of the Lord at all time. You have to surrender to the Acharya, and then through the Acharya, you will get all the fruits you want in this world. So it's the smartest way to succeed. That is the reason India was on top at one point of time. We were excelling in all fields because all our people were very spiritual. And when Macaulay came and changed the education system and made us all to learn English and science and maths only, we forgot our emotions, we forgot bhakti, we forgot devotion, we forgot our love for elders and understanding from them the transcendental. We did not give importance to that. Macaulay successfully broke the backbone of India, as he told in his message, by changing our education system. And hopefully, by these series of talks, we have inspired some heart somewhere that this Sanatana Dharma, which says the Lord is the means to all happiness, has to be inculcated in all the people of the world, not only India, all the people of the world, so that everyone can live a very blissful and happy life. I pray to the Acharya's feet for such a thing to happen and our Sanatana Dharma to flourish and glory to Sanatana Dharma. Palland Valha Sanatana Dharma. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunshaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha Srimate Nigamanta Maha Deshikaya Namaha Srimate Gopala Deshika Maha Deshikaya Namaha Srimate Anantaranga Maha Deshikaya Namaha. Dhanyosmi. Thank you all for coming for this series of talks. Thank you, Dr. Lakshmikant, Mr. Raghavan, Mr. Narayanan, Ilgola, and Shiv for taking so much time and effort to organize these programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jai Shriman Narayan.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dhanyos, my dear.
Thanks.
If anyone has questions, you can ask.
Mami, am I audible?
Yeah, sure.
Mami, I had one ignorance. Please pardon my ignorance. I had read all these stories, but what I did not understand is Tirumangai Azhvar on record, like he has done all these work, like could be robbery or could be any of these kind of things for Tadiyaradnam or anything. If we look at those work through the eyes of, say, Western educated eyes, it looks, isn't it ethically wrong? Like, can you please share some thoughts?
Okay. You are asking if the robbery done by Tirumangai Azhvar was a wrong thing to do, huh?
Yes, madam.
See, yeah. So now, well, in the eyes of the Lord, what is wrong is Atmachauryam. They say that there is no robbery which is as bad as Atmachauryam. You see, we the Atma belong to the Lord. And he is our master and we have to serve as an instrument to him. But all this while, we have been only supporting our body, looking at the health of the body and what we're trying to keep up the pride of the body. Now we have stolen the Lord's wealth, which is the Atma. And we are using it for some other purposes, for material purposes, because of ignorance. This is called Atmachaurya. So Acharya says, more than Atmachaurya, is there any other theft in this world? This stealing money, etc., is nothing. We have done Atmachaurya. Now, in order that people don't do Atmachaurya further, Alvar was building up devotion. In the path of devotion, service to Bhagavatas plays a very important role. It's only when we do more and more service to them that a lot of our remnant impressions, karma, sins get washed away. So, in order to do that, Alvar was doing some kind of a robbery like this. So, Atmachauryam is much, much more than this small robbery like stealing people and all that. So, in that way, it is justified. And all this is just the Leela of the Lord. One day he wanted Alvar to come around. That's why he made him do all this robbery for some time. But in the Vyakhyanas, in the commentary, they say that there's nothing as bad as Atmachori. You can even say Tondaredipadi Alvar did something unethical. No, that is also because God wanted to turn him around. He made him do such things for a while. That's why I said if you go and directly surrender to the Lord, then in order that you turn around, the Lord is forced to do some leelas. He's forced to do some naughty things with you so that you realize your mistakes. But if you go to an Acharya, he'll point out your mistakes even before the mistakes start giving fruits. That is the advantage. The answer to your question is yes, he did not do Atmacharyam. He was making people not do Atmacharyam, so it is much better. And he was inculcating devotion. He was on the path of devotion, and it's okay. And also that Lord says that apiche su duracharaha in Bhagavad Gita. Even if a person is called durachara, means bad conduct, su durachara, very bad conduct, then sa sadhureva mantavyaha, he has to be considered a sadhu. Samyak vyavastito hisaha. If he is thinking that Bhagavat and Bhagavata service, devotion is the ultimate, then Samyak Vyavasthitaha, he is well established in the truth. Therefore, he has to be considered a sadhu. Then he also adds, Shipram Bhavati Dharmatma. Soon he will become a righteous person. Me Bhaktaha na pranashyati. My devotee will never perish. Perish means lack of knowledge is only perishing, not the body. The Atma perishing means having wrong knowledge. Atma is a form of consciousness, knowledge. If you think the body is you, that means you have perished. So he says, Me Bhaktaha never na pranashyati. Then he swears on Arjuna. Krishna says, Pratijanihi, on you, I swear. He said, no, ma ki kasam, like that. He says, Arjuna, I stake a swear on you, I vow on you, my devotee will never perish. That means my devotee will always come around. There's a brief misconduct that will also change Shikram Bhavati Dharma. So the devotees of the Lord, even briefly, if they do something which is not righteous according to the societal norms, that should not be thought of as unrighteous. So sadhureva bhavati. You must call a person who is always lodged in the transcendental as sadhu, because very soon he will overcome his unrighteousness. This is what Swami has told in Bhagavad Gita. Swami Sri Krishna has told in Bhagavad Gita. So one should never ever think of raising a finger against the devotees of the Lord. There will be severe punishment for that. Mahalakshmi, even if she says, Lord says, say they all, nandre say, even if they did something like that, they did only good. Lord says, even Kulashekar Alvar demonstrated that Bhagavatas can never do mistakes by putting his hand into a pot with snakes. So this is the reply. These are not to be considered as misconduct, but this is a leela of the Lord to turn around Tirumangai Azhvar. That's all. He was lodged in the transcendental. He was doing service to Bhagavatans. He was on the way to devotion. So one should never look at these things as misconduct. Because soon he became big Alvar. Yeah. I hope you're convinced.
And we have Mrs. Ilvola. She wants to share an experience.
Sure.
Namaste, ma'am. It is so nice. All these series.
Thank you. Thank you so
But
much,
that you
Shivana.
have put. I wanted to say talk about one incident. Recently, we went to Vrindavan,
Okay.
Mathura and Vrindavan for one.
Very nice. Wow.
And Mathura, we had a very beautiful experience and very easy darshan. But in
Oh.
Vrindavan, when we went to the Banke Bihari Ji temple,
Yeah.
it was very too much of rush. The moment you
Okay.
enter inside the temple, you realize. So it is
Okay.
the rush is so much that you actually. So my daughter was with me, my husband and my daughter. So we kept her in between, but still there was so much rush that it was scary. Like, you know, I felt like, you know, what happens? I mean, like she was getting squeezed basically. So there was a point when I felt like crying because there is no turning back also going out.
Oh
and
my
coming.
God.
No, so you have to go with the flow.
Oh.
And suddenly what happened, I saw your face just came to my vision. And the one thing that I feel a bit emotional while talking about it, the moment then I felt like, you know, okay, say Radhe Radhe Krishna Krishna. And I also told my daughter, say Radhe Krishna and say that we go through this, we can see him and then, you know, safely come out. And suddenly the moment I thought about it and I said Radhe Radhe Krishna Krishna, and I told my daughter, she was just in front of me. So I said, say Radhe Krishna and have faith, everything will be fine. She was also scared. I was scared myself. So the moment I said this, I felt confident that nothing is going to, you know, we will make it. And moments later, there was a police officer who was guarding at the top, you know, just when you have to actually go see because it is not that you, anyway, you will be, you know, in the rush also, people will push, you will go reach there. But will you be able to see or not? It is too much of rush. That policeman actually pulled us up.
Oh.
He told us, okay, is she your daughter? And I said, yes. So, okay. He said, come this side. He pulled her up, my daughter up, and then, you know, made me also go there. We had a beautiful, you know, clear darshan.
Oh.
Then we came out safely and my child was safe. Everything was fine.
Wow.
Was
What an
really,
experience.
it is. And so during the series of talks, I think the biggest thing that I see in me is I am reminded of remembering him for every single thing. Like, you know, when I feel little stress, for every single thing I say, okay, Radhe Radhe, Krishna Krishna, and I feel confidence that it'll be all fine.
Wonderful,
It
wonderful.
was a very good, beautiful experience, actually. You know, the way you come to you know, I saw your face. Then you know, your words, like, you know, say, remember him. So
yeah,
it was really very.
So immediate, no? Immediately after you remembered him, you got relief, no?
Yes.
I can't forget your experience for quite some time. What an
Thank you so much,
experience.
ma'am, for bringing, you know,
It's all
reinforcing all these ideas and, you know, inside our mind.
I hope it's such a big topic. I hope I have done justice, and thank you all so much for introducing us to such a big audience. We were conducting quietly in some corner, and now we have a very big audience. Not that we want anything but except to spread the wonderful works of acharyas and Alvars, which can bring peace to so many lives. That's all. We will try to be a better instrument of the Lord. May all the acharyas grace us and grace you all towards finding your footage on the spiritual path. Jai Shriman Narayana. Acharya Tiruvadigalai Sharanam.
Thank you.
Ma'am, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for all these talks.
Very nice.
It's truly enlightening. And after listening to Dr. Ilvola's experience, I felt the event really went successful. You know, even in hundreds, even one turns back, I think we have achieved it. So wonderful, Dr. Ilvola, to hear how you experience that immediate benefit of connecting to the divinity.
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Absolutely.
It immediately
Thank you
creates
so much.
confidence also. The
Yeah.
moment
Yeah.
you say his name, you know, somehow you know everything will be fine. Then
Yeah.
somebody helped, that's a different thing. But the
Yeah.
immediate relief of anxiety, the stress, the panic, I almost started crying seeing the push and the,
Yeah.
the way we were getting squeezed. But it was like a relief.
Yeah.
No, nothing is going to happen. What will happen? Everything is fine. He's sitting in front of us. It was that kind of a feeling.
Very nice. It happens to me every time when I go to Tirupati. That long queues. You can't go back, you can't go front. You're stuck in that cage like thing, and I get suffocated. And we always take with us some elderly people. So even then, I keep chanting the names, and then I tell him all the mistakes I've done. Please pardon me. I'll recall all my mistakes, and then I'll have long conversations with him. So it's a great experience getting stuck like this. It was worth getting stuck, I think. Come to think back.
To realize.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you.
Thank
So
you,
I
ma'am.
have posted details on the chat. If anybody wants to connect to us, please do connect back to us with the details that is being posted on the chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Jai Shivan Narayana.